Welcome to Sweet Tea with Coach Key. No slime, no grime, straight sugar. Real life stories of inspiration, perseverance, and prosperity. I hope you have your teacups ready. We have the sugar.
Welcome to Sweet Tea with Coach Key. I have here with me my husband once again.
Hello.
And we are going to talk about being humble. So I think that I have always had a humble spirit. I have always been the one who would, I often got teased and picked on in school, but I would be the one who would, go the extra mile to bring up the person who was being teased or, allow them to have their own identity without the gunk on them that other people try to place on them because they didn't have this or that. And as I began to get older, that trait began to attract different types of women in my life to be my friends. Like, I have women from all different walks of life because of my humble spirit. People would share crazy things that they would never share with anyone else with me because they know that I would allow them to speak. I wouldn't judge them, and I would just allow them to have their voice and not try to place labels and all that stuff that the world tries to place on them. I just always had a humble spirit.
That's crazy that you say you always had a humbling spirit, because me, on the other hand, was quite the opposite. It was more so I was obnoxious and stuff like that, and I learned to become humble. I can remember times where I would walk in a room and I would survey the room and, look at everybody and be like, these people ain't even worthy of my time to even just talk to them. Now, looking back at that now, I can't even imagine, doing that now. I think being humble comes with a level of maturity.
Oh, yes, I like that.
You have to get there. It ain't, I don't think it just happens. It's rare in your instance how you just, you're a rare person. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that. Your spirit, your vibe, your aura, and everything like that is a gem, and it's rare. So everybody's not like that, myself included. I was one of those people who wasn't always humble, and
I think it's a blessing and a curse. I think because I would bite my tongue and not say things because I would be offended by someone else being offended. I remember trying to watch American Idol and different shows or competition shows, and I couldn't watch it because I would be so embarrassed for the other person. I don't really know if that's from being humble. I just think that ties to how I feel when I used to speak my mind and say something. I would feel that I was hurting a person's feelings, so I would regurgitate and not say what I really felt like saying. I remember.
So before you go into your story, let me ask you this. Let me ask you a quick question about what you're saying. So do you feel like being humble is an insecurity?
No, absolutely not. I think being humble is being self-aware. I think that there's a level of confidence to be humble because for yourself, I'll take the back seat. I don't need to be in the center of attention. When he made it clear to me that the calling on my life was to be a speaker, a public servant, a coach, to be in leadership, I ran from that.
Right.
And it started with me having a great manager hiring me to be a team lead. And it just, I wanted to be in that position, but I really didn't feel like I was worthy of it. But she would just say, I always asked her, how do you come up with how do you respond to things so quickly? And she was like, I just don't think about it. She said, I just, but me, I would overthink it because I didn't want to hurt someone's feelings, or I would,
Yeah, the reason I asked you that because I think, when just people look at the word humble and being humble, just, in the spirit of being humble, I think a lot of people think of that as an insecurity. I know that was one of the things I thought, humble fall in line with the whole pride thing as a man. That ain't nothing you need to be, I think that takes maturity to get there.
I'm looking at an article right here in Forbes, and it's talking about some of the attributes of a humble person. excuse me, and one of them is they retain relationships, they make difficult decisions with ease, they put others first, and they listen. Like those are just a couple. And they're curious.
That's you all day.
Yes, like I am a lifelong learner, and I can tell you that the way that my husband was explaining to you all, the way that he used to think, the way that he used to be, that is directly in line with the people that I used to have around me, close to me, who I used to be friends with. They would consider themselves on a different level in life than other people. And I realized what the reason why we're not friends anymore is because I realized I was sort of a garbage can for them because I was so humble. So they would bring all their junk to me, but when it was something that was, something that you have for friends that you enjoy and, people who you really consider a friend, a mutual friendship, I wasn't worthy of that. So I was worthy when you're having a problem. You need money.
Yeah, being your
You've
Dr.
done something stupid. You have an emergency. Then you'll call me. But on that level of a friend, I wasn't worthy of that. Now I'll never know if it was because I was overweight, whether it was because me having children, maybe I didn't look the part. I'll never know. But that's the reason why those friendships transitioned, because essentially I wasn't good enough, but I was good enough.
Right.
And that's just not, I'm not with that. So now the friends that I have, I am all of these things. It's another thing. It said they take time to say thank you. They have an abundant mentality. And that's me. Like my sense of my abundant mentality has nothing to do with anyone else. And it has everything to do with me. I recently unfollowed a ton of people on my Instagram because I realized that one, I was spending too much time on it, and two, I am the best me when I do me. And any moment that I become distracted or sidetrack with someone else's destiny, that throws me off.
Yeah, I agree. That's a big monkey wrench when you can see somebody else's path and stuff like that, and it can distract you.
Yeah, and it can also lead you to not be humble. And humble is also being happy for other people. I just got a text earlier today from a good friend telling me she has just received a substantial raise. She called me with that, or she texted me with that, because she knows my spirit. She knows who she can share that with and who she can't share that with. Every single year, I know when she gets bonuses and when her review time comes, because she calls me and tells me, she's like, girl, I can't share this with anyone else because no one else will be happy.
And that's real. That's real. You can't share that with everybody because everybody's not on that level where they can accept it and be, and give you positive feedback without.
And be sincere.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you got to be sincere, and you got to, you judge people on where they are, and if they're not sincere for you, then hey,
Yeah, I guess that was my level of maturity. Really, taking the time to really comb through all the people that I had in my life and really seeing what they're there for. And you don't, it doesn't happen overnight. I'm gonna chop these people off, but you do have to make sure that they have a level of maturity to be able to support you, because relationships are not one-sided. It's give, receive, however, but it's constant giving and receiving. And I specifically remember a conversation, I spoke about this in one of my earlier videos, where I had a friend that told me that she could not celebrate me and the things and see my life transitioning and be happy for me because her life was in turmoil. So even though my friend gets huge bonuses every year, and she just received a substantial raise today, just like it fell in her lap, I wouldn't act like I didn't see the message or tell her I can't be happy for her because I didn't receive that type of blessing, And I guess my humble spirit comes from also knowing that I spoke about this too. Like, we are our own books. We all are our own books.
What you mean by that?
So you have your own story. I have my own story. You have your own ending. I have my own ending. You have your own climax. I have my own climaxes. You have your own issues. I have I can't put my story in your story.
Right.
I can't hold you accountable for your story when your story is already written. How am I going to be upset with you about your blessings? I mean, you put in the work, no doubt about it. But essentially, your story was already written before you were born. It is not being developed as the days and the hours pass. God already knows what's going to happen. He already had those. I told her that today. She said, I be worrying myself to death. And it's God already knew. I said, that blessing was already waiting on you. I said, you deserve it. She said, I worry myself sick about things. I said, that blessing was already waiting for you. So why is it that I would find myself being offended by someone's blessing or something that they a great opportunity, which essentially is a blessing? Why? When that's not for me, that's for them, you know?
Right. Like you said, God has already written that story and it's already got its conclusion and everything.
And I guess and another and before I go that route, do you think that humble people can be jealous or envious?
I think so. I think so because I believe like it's just human nature, you know, just to be, you know, I don't even think it's their person at fault. It's natural. It's just like a natural thing for people to just be a little jealous, you know. I just think that's natural.
I think that from my own experience, I think jealousy to me is defined as wanting something that someone else has or not wanting that person to have it because you want it for yourself. And
what about just not being happy for that person? I mean, you can say that, but just, I mean,
I think I know I was making a personal statement about how I feel because I am humble and I was addressing the question, do humble people get jealous? Are they envious? And I think that you made me forget what I was about to say. But anyway, I'm going to try to piece it together and remember what I was about to say because, I mean, I'm talking about the way I feel. Mm-hmm. But I think that I don't get jealous. What it is to me is I may feel like I need to present myself in a different way so that other opportunities can fall within my reach. Or I feel like if it's for you, it's for you. I want my own thing. So let's say that we both, me and someone else, are both in a financial bond, and they receive a substantial financial blessing. I don't want you not to get your blessing. I'm not mad that you got your blessing. I want my own.
You want your own blessing, yeah. So most people will. I mean, if you just had that natural thought, when that happens to somebody, would that be considered jealousy?
No, because that's not going to overshadow me celebrating your blessing. I'm not stubborn, and I'm not envious. So essentially, being envious is wanting it. I don't want it. I want my own.
You want your own.
Yes.
But in reality, you want it.
Yes.
Okay, so
not want it. I don't want yours. I want my own.
You want your own.
You're right.
But let's say I'm on the receiving end of this call, right? I'm telling you that I just got a $2 raise, right?
Say I want a $2 raise too.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying in the inside.
If I'm telling you that, let's just say you telling me this back, you know.
No. I would not say that.
Okay.
I would not say that.
So that we on the same page. If you was receiving, if I'm receiving it and I'm telling you, and then you hit me with a response, I will look at that as jealousy.
I'm not going to say that because what did I say in the beginning of the podcast? I have no problem, and I actually prefer being backstage. Mm-hmm. I don't need to be front row, front stage.
That's characteristics of a humble person.
Exactly. I don't need to. It's not about me. You called me to celebrate you. And that's what we're gonna do. Mm-hmm. But envy doesn't always show itself. So that's why I ask. You can present yourself and celebrate somebody and have a tornado going on in your chest and in your spirit and your mind because you want what they have and you're mad that they got it. Mm. So that's the reason why I asked that. I'm looking at another attribute here, and it says they assume responsibility, and they accept feedback. I have grown to be very strategic or cognizant of who I get feedback from, because people I know I made the mistake a couple times of receiving feedback from envious people.
That's a dangerous thing.
And it comes across as very nasty. Ooh, it's disguised as, the real thing, but it's just like this is the nastiest thing I could think of right now. You know, you go to this Walmart and you get the roll of meat, the ground beef, and the packaging when you can't see, and it looks like the real thing, and then you get it home and it's brown. Yeah, so it's gonna present itself eventually. Like, even if it's just gonna come through, and it came through, and I just no. So I am very selective in who I get feedback from and who I tell my victories to, because you never know what space someone is in, and I've experienced it with people pretending to be happy for me and they just are not. And what do you think about asking for help? Do you think that you're humble enough at this point in your life to ask for help if you need it?
Absolutely, and that's something that you have to learn how to do.
Yeah.
Once you become a humble person, then the pride kind of goes to the side, where you build a rapport with somebody enough where I can humble myself to ask you, hey, I'm in a time where I need some help. Can you help me?
Or you be so humble. What about the times that you're so humble that you do something very significant for somebody, and you don't even reap the reward or nothing, the recognition?
Exactly.
Nothing.
Yes.
It's just it's off the record. That is the most fulfilling thing for me in the whole world.
I think that's a practice a lot of people should try. I think people should try.
But with the social media thing, I actually called one of my mentors and asked her, because when we were doing the stuff for the nonprofit, and I was taking pictures and I was wanting to post, and I said, I was talking to her and I really could get out how I was feeling, but she was like, I understand what you're saying. She said, you're not doing it to get recognition. You're doing it to bring notoriety about what you're doing, so you can get more hands on deck, so that you can make a more significant impact. And I said, oh, that's it. So I wasn't even really in tune with what my heart was at. I wasn't checking me like, girl, you don't feel nothing, you good.
Yeah.
I was more so worried about the way that I was being perceived by people who ain't gonna help me out anyway. So, yeah. So, all in all, I just really felt like it was a great space to talk about humbleness, because a lot of us are not born into it. Sometimes you do have to practice the attributes of a humble person. And this is a wonderful article on Forbes.com. I actually found it just by Googling. So if this is something that you struggle with, because I know everyone isn't the same. Like, everybody is not natural born givers.
Right.
Everybody
I was one of those people at one point.
Everybody doesn't naturally like kids. Everyone does not naturally like animals, Everybody doesn't naturally like elderly people. So some traits we do have to, gravitate towards and just start implementing those small changes. But I do think that there are a ton of blessings and benefits that come from being humble. It's biblical. God calls for us to be humble. Humble yourself. And not only be okay with saying thank you, but also apologizing and allowing other people to make mistakes and apologize. That's something that I struggle with, because that was a hard area for me, to allow people to say I'm sorry when I feel like you know me. Like, you know me. I don't have to tell you over and over and over again. I done told you. You see, like, it's common sense, That's something that I had to get better with the forgiveness part of being humble. Like, wanting to chop people's heads off when they kept crossing me over and over.
Give them an opportunity to fix it.
Or forgive them and leave them alone.
Yeah.
Or
that's major.
Yeah, that's major. I forgive you, but I'm just, because I know I deserve better. But my thought, what I used to do was, I would be pissed, or you would do something to hurt me or hurt my feelings, and I would be pissed and hurt. And then I would sort of let up, sort of forget about it. Time go on, and I would let them come back, and they would do it again, and I'll be all, And why keep doing that? Forgive them, accept them for who they are, and move on. You don't have to keep digging, breaking that ground again, digging that up. Because what happens is you dig up what they did the first time. So then you're dealing with all the hurt.
Right.
I bet you can name a couple people that I'm talking about right now. So that was one of the main things for me. So, and I can't tell you again, it has its benefits because you wake up lighter. I mean, it just makes you feel better. So I encourage, and it's a little bit stronger than encourage. I hope and pray that anyone and everyone who is listening to this podcast share it with someone and just really, really hone in and be humble. It's a stress-free life. Instead of thinking, oh, that person cut me off in traffic, I just hope they get to where they're going safely.
Right.
And it's something that you have to practice, but God wouldn't ask us to do it if we can't do it. He ain't gonna ask us to do nothing that we are not able to do through Him. So this week, I hope you have a blessed remainder of your week. I thank you so much for tuning in. We don't take it lightly.
We don't.
And I love you and take care.